Hi everyone. I hope you can hear me. Hola a todos, espero que puedan escucharme. Voy a hablar en inglés porque es mucho más fácil y voy a pedir a aquellos que entienden español si por favor pueden ayudar a traducir. I'm gonna ask to all of you who speak also Spanish that help me translate, because I'm not going to be able to speak translating all these concepts, so I decided to do it in English, so it reaches more people. I hope so. I don't know. So I'm here in Kauai, and it might look like it's a holiday, but actually one of the reasons why I'm in Kauai is because it's the antipode of Botswana. If you see the planet and you cross through the other side, you will see that that the islands of Hawaii are exactly in the opposite side of Botswana. And Botswana, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Namibia, Zambia, all that territory represents the origin of humanity, represents the beginning of everything, of our first ideas, our first immigrations, the first expansions of our consciousness. So that point there is where our consciousness expanded and our species expanded. And so when we are trying to repair the origin, when we are trying to go back to the origin to heal a trauma, to heal a story that we have inside, like when we are adults and we are trying to understand a fear that we have, usually we have to go back to when we were 5 years old or 3 years old. So now in our stage of humanity, when we try to think about why are we living these conflicts that we are living, why are we in the stage that we are now as humanity, so we have to go back to our childhood, to our beginning. When you go back to your childhood, you need someone to tell you, hey, this is the other point of view, this is the perspective, the other perception of what you are living. So you need like the therapist, you need someone with awareness that from the other point of view can observe and understand what is going on in your childhood. So in the planet, that is represented by the opposites of the different sides of the planet. So if we are talking about the origin of humanity in the south of Africa, so to understand the third point of view, to observe from a different point of view, you have to go to the center of the Pacific Ocean. And the center of the Pacific Ocean is basically Hawaii. So that's why I was called to come here, because today, here in Hawaii tonight, from the 2nd of March to the 3rd of March, we're going to have a moon of blood, a red moon, which is an eclipse where the shadows of the earth are projected in the moon. So this means that basically the moon is going behind the earth and the sun is in the opposite side. So basically now the sun is right here in front of me, so you see the reflection. So if my head is the planet Earth, right in the opposite direction, right behind me, I have the moon. So today we have a moon eclipse. So the sun of the light of the sun is not hitting the moon, and the shadow of Earth is projected on the moon, which means that we are able to see our shadow. And when we are trying to see the shadow of something that is so old, hidden in our subconscious, we have to kind of look into the very origin of things in our childhood as humanity. So I was called to come here because right above Hawaii is where the eclipse will be the biggest. We're going to be able to see the entire eclipse, which means that in the other side of the planet, during noon in Botswana, we are going to receive all the light, all the clarity. So on receiving all the clarity in our origin, we in the shadow, in the side of the eclipse, we're going to be able to use this poison to transform it into medicine. I've been explaining for a while that what I'm trying to do is to search for the poisons of humanity, to understand the poisons of humanity, so we can actually turn it into medicine. And today there is this common thing in humans. It's not just today, sorry, but it's like it's been for thousands of years that we position ourselves in one point of view, and we believe that our point of view is the right one and the point of view of others is not. So we have to correct the position of the others. We have to tell the others that they are wrong and what I believe is right. And this has created a poison in our mind, because nature has no right or wrong. Nature has different points of view. Nature has different perspectives. Nature has different perceptions of reality. And when you are becoming someone that is not led by morality or politics or philosophies or ideologies, better said, but you are someone guided by the alchemy, by the transformation, by spirituality, suddenly what you realize is that there is no good or wrong point of view in anything. There's just different perspectives. And the main problem of those perspectives is when one tries to get upon the other, when one tries to control the other, saying mine is the truth and yours is not the truth. When in the reality, what only matters are the facts, the only things that are happening. So I rather see what is happening in the world as all the poison that we need to turn into medicine, but not thinking that there is someone that is doing it wrong, but thinking that we are all in the wrong position. So by understanding that we are all in the wrong position, what we try to do is to, instead of creating enemies, we try to find the common points going back to the origin. So the question is, if we have many different pathways of this reality, of our perception, most of us have to have originated in one point of view. We had to start at one point. So the point where we all started was around Botswana. So from there must be something that can tell us how to go back to the origin without culture, without beliefs, without ideologies, anything. So in order for me to be able to observe that, trying to see the planet, not just the humans, but the planet as a whole, and considering myself a cell in that planet and connecting, weaving the information in this planet. So to understand the origin, I cannot go directly to Botswana. What I need to do is to go to the opposite, to observe from the other side what is needed to correct, or what is needed to acknowledge, to be acknowledged. So that's why I'm here under the eclipse. And this is not any random eclipse, because the world is changing as we speak. And this is something that I have been telling everybody for the past 2 years, and mainly the past year. During every Holinada, during every message that I have been receiving, during all the transmissions that the Weaver, my higher self, has been sharing with everyone, the whole information has been all about the greatest of transformations cannot be done without the fire of the heart of Iran. And for sure, many of you who have been following me have heard about this, have heard constantly that I'm talking about the heart of the snake, which is Iran, Turkey, all the Middle East as a very important spot of connectivity for all this transformation that we are waiting for. But we cannot do it when some things are stuck. And there are certain things that beyond politics, beyond religion, beyond any understanding that we can have from the logics of what is happening right now in the world, there is another layer of all this. There is another level of the consciousness of what is happening. And the reason why I'm doing this video is because most of you that have been following, or a lot of people that have been in connection with my work, should be in the same page in this process of transformation. We have to be in the level of consciousness to understand that beyond the war, the conflicts that are coming, and the conflicts that we are living right now in, this process is like this traumatic moment in which you realize about something, and something needs to change, something needs to transform, and suddenly it's like leaving behind your way of life, a part of you that dies, an aspect of your ego that disappears, that transforms. There is so many painful processes in the alchemy, in the process of transformation, that sometimes we forget that the entire planet is also in the same process, that we cannot always hold back saying we shouldn't leave anything painful, we shouldn't leave any conflict, we should be leave everything as it is. Because and I will be very sincere with this, there's a lot of people in the Western societies that are saying, why are you invading, why everyone is invading Iran, leave the country decide by themselves. And I am 38 years old, and Iran has been under a dictatorship for 30 years. 30 years is my life, and a lot of people have been living in a terrible situation. And take away all the situations with who did it or which country is involved in this, but the energy of the territory has been blocked by religions that were not their own, by cultures that were not their own, by energies that were cut and they were not flowing correctly. So it's been, and that territory, the territory of Iran, is the heart of the system, is the heart of our Kundalini. So imagine, wherever you are in the planet, within you, you have the power of Iran in your Kundalini when it rises through your heart. So if the entire planet is blocked in their heart, it's also related to why Iran is blocked. So there is so many layers that sometimes we don't relate to ourselves, and that we don't relate to our own inner conflicts with political or geographical conflicts that are so far from us, but actually we are connected to it. We are constantly connected to it, and our spiritual awakening, our spiritual journey is not something just in our minds, it's in our cells. It's in the process that we are living, in our bodies, in our politics, in our economy, in our education. Society is basically a reflection of what we are living within, our inner transformation. So what is happening in Iran is something that is happening within all of us. What happened with Israel is something that happens within all of us. What happened in every country that is living a conflict today is what is happening within all of us. It's not something from the outside, and when we are in a morality position from being very comfortable, it's very difficult to understand how much some places need to be released, how much some places need to be reorganized and reestablished, and then we can discuss if the person that is doing it is wrong or is right. But there's a terrible thing in our common way of talking that I've heard a lot, which is, for example, Israel is guilty of all of this, and Israel is not guilty of all of this. Some people of Israel is guilty of all of this, and not only them, people from Lebanon, from Syria, from Yemen, from Somalia, from Iran, from the States. There are so many places that have people that are responsible for what is happening. But it's not a country that is guilty of something. It's certain people that are not aligned with the right process of that territory. So it's very important when we are in the path of consciousness to not to think about systems that are guilty, but people that are away of their north. It's very important in our process to make that difference, because for example, I've been in the Vatican many times, and I think there are people there that are doing the right work, that are really giving their lives for God, while there are other people inside the Vatican that are manipulating humanity. But it's not a system, it's humans. There is humans doing that. And it's the same thing that mom or dad in your own life did. There are parents that are terrible and parents that are good, but that doesn't mean that the family is wrong. You know what I mean? So it doesn't mean that the institution of the family is wrong just because there are certain parents or certain mothers that are not in the right position. So it's very important to understand that what we are trying to correct are not systems, but humans. That we are not trying to say, to blame these people or this religion are wrong, but there are certain humans that are not in their own hearts and minds. And this is a very important topic and concept from now on when we are working in consciousness. Because we cannot accept that that we put our beliefs upon an entire consciousness or an entire culture or an entire religion. Okay, for example, I lived a lot in Egypt. I have many friends that are Muslims, but I know that what the people of the Republic, the Islamic Republic, of the government of the Islamic Republic of Iran, what they are doing is wrong. And that doesn't make me against Muslims. It just makes me say they are doing something terrible. So, and it's not because of the religion, it's because of people. Because I know many Muslims that don't think like that. and I know Jewish that don't think like that, and I know Christians that don't think like the Vatican, and I know, I don't know, like there's so many people that have different beliefs and different traditions of the same concept. So it's important to understand that when we work in consciousness, we are talking about people that have lost their heart or their points of view. And we have to be very, very careful when we use words that we don't know what they are. And I say it with myself too, for my own self. There's a lot of people using words that are not right to describe what is happening in the world, or making some people guilty when they're not. Words like Zionist, Vatican, Kabbalist, reptilian, Christians, Muslims, whatever. We are using words that we don't know their origin, and we are just repeating what other people have been telling us all the time, using words as a spell for us to say something that is not. One of the reasons, for example, that I never speak about Palestine is because the Roman Empire put the name Palestine. I would rather talk about the people of Canaan. So the people of Canaan are the ones that are suffering. But not all the people that live in Palestine are from Canaan. There are many people that have been brought from other territories of the Arabic Peninsula that are not from Canaan. So we have been using words to describe things that are poison. Words that have no relationship with history, that have no relationship with the process that we are actually living. So they are spells in our mind that once you repeat them once and again, they become true. So that's why sometimes I decide not to speak. Sometimes I decide not to explain, not to speak, because there are so many things that are impossible to explain in just a video. It's just so complicated to try to explain so many things that I'm not trying to explain, because it's not my work in this case. I'm not here to convince you of anything, so I'm not here to teach you anything either. So the last thing that I want to do is to go and say, to make a live like this and say, this is wrong and this is right and blah blah. That's something that I don't want to do. That's why you never hear me talking about politics or talking about many things. But the reason why I decided to do this now is because of the eclipse. It's because these days something starts to change forever. There's something that needs to be liberated in such a huge way that we all have to be aware of what is coming. And what is coming for me is not like, oh, there's coming a big war. What for me is coming is a great opportunity to rethink the system. Because if we keep the same narrative of bringing guilty to someone else, to thinking that the Zionists are the guilty ones, or the Muslims are the guilty ones, or the Christians in the Vatican are the guilty one, or the people in Epstein list are the guilty one, if we keep doing that, we will never realize that we are also humans, that we are also in that system, that we have been nourishing that system for thousands of years, that we have accepted many things. Now everyone is talking about Iran, okay? And everyone was talking about Palestine before, okay? But no one was talking about Nigeria. No one was talking about the Uyghur. No one was talking about the Armenians or from Nagorno-Karabakh or from Crimea. I don't know. We have to realize that sometimes that I don't speak about something, or that some of us don't speak about something, it doesn't mean that we are not doing something for it. It means that we are not giving the energy to this weird conversation of trying to explain ourselves with spells. That's what I am trying to explain right now. Because this is not about trying to be in one side of the story or the other side of the story. Because no one here is wrong or right. There is no one here wrong or right. There is only people that are out of their tune. And we are part of that people. So if we seat ourselves believing that we know right and that we know the truth and that we know how to blame someone else and that we have to blame the others because they are not doing it right, then we are not doing consciousness. We are not doing alchemy. So if we are in the process of transformation and we start this process of transformation with these eclipses and what is happening around the world, if we don't do that inner process and we project every conflict into the outside, then we are not actually becoming conscious beings. We are just becoming morality police. And that's what the social media has become, morality police. When no one has actual morality. When no one actually knows anything. So we are just repeating things that other people told us to say. So that's why I would always recommend for everyone to not to just keep with one truth, but to keep reading, studying, and thinking by yourself. Because what is coming right now, it's gonna try to make us all enemies to one another. Because there is a new restructuring of the world. There is a new power that is being restructured from the inside, because everything that is coming out, all the things that are coming out right now, all this truth and conflict and everything, is not coming because someone said, let's say the truth. It's just coming because someone from behind said, this is over, so let's restructure the system in a different way. So the first thing that someone that is trying to restructure the system from behind will do is to put all of us against each other, so we are busy not paying attention to what we have to pay attention to. So the war that is happening is not the conflict. The war that is happening right there is not the problem. It's just the symptom of a change. So when we are working in consciousness, it's very important to go within to understand what actually is happening, what actually is there. And there are some people that have told me, why haven't you spoken about the genocide in Gaza, for example? Okay, because I don't believe it's a genocide. But it doesn't mean that it is not. I'm not going to tell you this is not, and say that this is my truth and that's the truth. I believe that there are other things that are happening that we have to take in account to consider what actually is happening there. So that's why I cannot speak saying what these people is doing is wrong. Because what I know is that everyone is speaking about genocide or Gaza particularly just because the news are talking about it. But I haven't heard anyone talking about what is happening in Nigeria and Niger. No, that is also terrible. Or everything that has been happening in the last 60 years with all the other cultures that were in Muslim countries. There is so much happening that is not just one narrative. That the reason why I decide not to speak about these things is because my points of view are not the points of view that you share, and I don't believe that neither yours or mine are wrong. I just believe that there is something behind the system that is trying to make us all fight about something else. And I've been in all these conflict places. It's just that I don't share it. But I've been there. I've been there the same week that this happened in Israel. I've been in Palestine 3 days before the whole conflict started. So it's not that I haven't been in those places. It's not that I haven't experienced for all these years the conflicts that are happening. I am aware of all the conflicts. I am aware of everything that is happening, but I don't speak about it, not because I don't care or because I don't care about the humans. The reason why I don't speak about it is because it's usually contaminated in our minds. It's usually contaminated in our minds. I spoke with someone from Palestine a few months ago, and we were talking about this power of Canaan. We were talking about the origin of the conflicts, and we agreed in that moment that the main power that we have to solve is our origin, not the conflicts that we have in this moment. So one of the reasons why I don't usually feed this information in the social media all the time is because I know that there is an intention from certain powers that we keep fighting on the surface of things and not the awareness of them. So today we have a very powerful eclipse that will show all our shadows. Today it might start a huge change in the geography of the world, in the geopolitics, in the structure of the powers of this planet. 2026, as I said for many years, would be the beginning of a huge change, of a huge transformation. But transformation requires pain when the consciousness is in the pain and the fear level. So my suggestion for all of us, for all of those who are working in alchemy, is to think wider than a position. Think wider than if I believe in this or I believe in that. If I am in this side or you are in the other side. Because this is not what it is. This is not the main conflict that we have to face in the alchemy for the next 3 to 9 years. The main thing that we have to work in alchemy, the main thing that we have to transform in ourselves is our point of view of things, our point of view of reality. We have to open our minds not just to the things that others are telling us. And remember that maybe a few of you are new in this, but those who have been following for many years, remember, I have always told you, don't believe in anything that I say. Because if you believe in everything that I say, then you are not aware or you are not conscious. Because the way I explain things is my way to explain things, but it's not a truth. It's not truth. It's just a perspective. So that's why I encourage everyone to work for consciousness. And to work for consciousness means not even myself explaining this have a truth. The only way to access truth is when you understand that all the other perceptions have a slice of truth. So we have to listen, to hear, to study, to remember, to open ourselves to receive information from other points of view. And sometimes silence is not about ignorance. Silence is about contemplation. And silence, it's also another way of action. So I have been silenced in all these concepts for a long time. And the reason why I've been silenced is because I have been contemplating. because I didn't know what was actually happening behind. So I needed to go deeper and deeper to understand what was happening behind, to actually be able to speak about this. So, and even if I start speaking about what is happening in the planet from now on, one of the main things that everyone has to understand is that I won't be speaking about truth. I will be only speaking about perceptions. Only speaking about a point of view, a point of perception. And this moon, this eclipse, is not a bad thing. Eclipses happen all the time, every year, and we are here. So it's not a problem, the eclipse. It's a moment of alchemization. So to be aware of the power that an eclipse has, which is to show us an aspect of ourselves that we are not observing. So that is the empowering of the eclipses. So it's bad when I don't accept that truth that I am observing for myself. That's what makes it bad. But actually, eclipses are very good when you are trying to change yourself, when you are trying to transform yourself. So the main thing that happens today is a transformation of our dreams, a transformation of our perception is going to happen. And the transformation of everything that is going to happen can be from fear, from separation, or can be from consciousness and unity. So I'm not saying with this that we all have to live in peace and harmony and all together and everything beautiful. What I'm saying is that what we are going through in this process is a transformation of the entire system, and it's not one day. It's a whole process of a decade, but it's starting right now. And it's the time to speak up for certain things. But because I'm starting to speak up about these things, it doesn't mean that what I'm going to say is the truth. And I want for you to get this, because the main thing that people do when they listen something different is to believe that is not real, that is against me, that is something wrong, and actually it's just another point of view. It's just another perspective to widen our minds. And it doesn't have to be true. It just has to be another perspective, another perception that helps us understand why we're living where we are living. So, there's one thing that we can all agree, which is we don't need a war, and there's people suffering because of those wars. But blaming someone for that war is not the solution. Blaming a system for that is not the solution. Blaming a politician for that is not the solution. The solution is another thing. The solution comes from dissolution. The first thing that we have to do to solve something is to dissolve something. And the first thing that we have to dissolve is our idea, our perspective, our perception of something. So when we dissolve our ego, when we dissolve our point of view, when we dissolve our perception of something, we can solve something new. We can create something different. So the first stage of alchemy, Nigredo, is about dissolving. It's about releasing everything, dissolving who we are, dissolving our perception, and from there we can find a solution. But first we have to dissolve. So that's why I invite everyone in the path of consciousness to dissolve our ideologies, to dissolve our points of view, to dissolve what we believe is right or wrong, so we can allow other truths to access, other options, and none of them will be the absolute truth. the universe have no absolute truth. It only has constant information, which is the constant process of taking shape. Yeah. So I am doing that, and that's why one of my dissolutions for this moment is to start talking about this, because in my common solution of things, I would never speak about this. I would never speak about politics. I would never speak about what is happening in the world. But from this eclipse, I choose to dissolve myself to offer my point of view on what is happening. And that's what I saw here as an intention. But I repeat, whatever I share here with everyone is not a solution, is a dissolution, is not a truth, is an option. So many things to talk about, but I remind again, it's not the truth. So from there, I invite you all to listen, to think about it, and if you don't like it, just don't listen to it. It's so simple as that. Today during the eclipse, I am going to be putting this seed of what is happening on the other side of the world, holding the space for all these shadows that are going to be shown from now on in the planet. I'm going to be in the next months, I'm going to be activating certain things and traveling very close to Iran, as close as possible. I will keep you informed, because I know I have to anchor something, as I did in Dubai last month. So I will keep informed about the task, but today I sow the seed of dissolution, so we can allow the information to come through, the formation of a new world to come through. So everything that we are starting to do from now on is for a new state of consciousness. So the first thing to understand consciousness is to recognize in which state we are. And from that state, we can inform ourselves and transform ourselves. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And just thank you for accompanying in this journey. A new world is being transformed, and I hope we are all part of that transformation. Como dije, en español está todo traducido, hay gente que está ayudando y va a estar traducido, pero no podía traducir a mí mismo toda esta información, así que no se preocupen que va a estar escrito, y hay momentos en que tengo que elegir una sola lengua, así que perdón y gracias por entender. So thank you everybody for being there, for listening, for sharing the space, and here from Kauai, which is the place where the steering wheel of the boat of consciousness is being repositioned. I'm going to be receiving the shadows of this process of the eclipse and sharing whatever comes through with all of you. So just keep that in mind. In a few hours, tonight from Hawaii, tomorrow midday for Europe and Africa, and we'll be in resonance. Thank you everybody for being there. Thank you for following this path.